All right, let's jump right in. I want to ask you something. What if a country could build its biggest projects? We're talking airports, new cities, massive power plants, not by using your tax money, but by making you an owner. It sounds pretty radical, right? Well, today we're diving into a really revolutionary idea coming out of Saudi Arabia that could completely change the game for how a person relates to their own country. And this quote, this really gets to the heart of the whole thing. I mean, for centuries, it's been the same old story, right? Governments build stuff using our taxes or by taking on foreign debt. But what if we just flipped that entire model on its head? What if you, as a citizen, could actually own a piece of the national infrastructure and get a cut of the profits? That's the huge, ambitious goal here. And it's all being made possible by a technology called tokenization. Okay, so first things first, let's really break down this huge idea, what it means to go from just being a taxpayer to being a shareholder in your own country. This chart lays it all out perfectly. You see, the old model is pretty straightforward. You pay your taxes, the government builds things, and hey, if there are foreign loans involved, the profits from those go to lenders overseas. But in this new model, things are totally different. The capital comes from citizens, like you, and investors from all over the world. And guess who benefits? The citizen owners. Your role just completely transforms. You're not just funding the system anymore. You actually own a piece of it. So you might be wondering, okay, how is any of this even possible? Well, it all comes down to one key technology. It's called tokenization. And you could think of it like creating the digital bricks that build the foundation for this entire vision. In simple terms, tokenization works like this. You take a huge, super expensive asset, let's say an airport, and you convert its ownership into digital tokens on a blockchain. It's like taking a billion real building and breaking it down into a billion digital bricks. See? Each one of those tokens represents a tiny, tiny piece of the ownership. And just like that, you don't need one person with a billion reals to invest. You can have a million people, each owning a small, affordable piece. And the process itself is actually pretty simple when you break it down. Step one, you pick an asset. Let's stick with the airport example. Step two, you create the digital tokens. The ownership of that airport gets converted into millions of these digital shares. And finally, step three, you offer those tokens up for investment. That means citizens, global investors, literally anyone can buy them and become a part owner. Okay, and this is where it gets really powerful. The benefits of doing it this way are huge. We're talking about dramatically lowering the barrier to entry. You could invest with just a small amount of money, not millions. Transactions, they happen almost instantly, securely. Forget waiting days. Plus, you get continuous liquidity, which is just a fancy way of saying you can trade your tokens whenever you want. And maybe the best part, the dividends can be paid out automatically using smart contracts. Straight to you, no middlemen taking a cut. All right, that's enough of the technical stuff. Theory is one thing, but let's make this real. Let's look at a concrete example. An airport that could be owned by you. Okay, check out this number. A portfolio of major airports in Saudi Arabia. It generates something like 3 billion rials in revenue every single year. Now, normally, all that cash just goes back to the government. But with tokenization, that money could flow somewhere completely different. So look at how this would work. In this model, the government might hang on to a 20% stake, to maintain some control. But the other 80%, that massive chunk of ownership, gets offered to the public as tokens. That means 80% of the revenue from everything, landing fees, the shops, all the passenger services, flows directly to the people who own the token. And here's why that matters so much. It makes it personal. Think about it. The very airport you fly out of for your vacation or for a business trip, it stops being just a place you use. It becomes an asset that you own, an asset that actually pays you dividends when it does well. That's a huge shift. But this vision is so much bigger than just one airport. So let's zoom out now and look at the national and even the global implications of all this. The potential here is just staggering. We're talking about unlocking an estimated 25 billion reals in market value by 2030. That's across all kinds of infrastructure projects, not just airports. And it just blows the doors wide open for who can invest. I mean, traditionally, you'd have maybe a few hundred big institutional investors funding a project like this. But with tokenization, you could have an investor pool that's 10,000 times larger. We're talking millions of regular people getting in on the action. All this efficiency also has a massive upside for the country itself. It makes it way cheaper to fund these huge projects. A potential reduction of 78 basis points in the cost of capital. Okay, that sounds technical, but it basically means it's almost a full percentage point cheaper than using traditional bonds.
And what does that mean? It means more stuff can get built faster and for less money.
And you can bet this isn't just a local thing. Investors all around the world are paying very close attention. And why wouldn't they? They get direct access to premium, high-value infrastructure projects, they get the stability that comes with strong government backing, and they get that incredible liquidity, the ability to sell whenever they want. It's a pretty compelling package no matter where you are. Okay, so we've talked about the money, we've talked about the tech, but let's go a little deeper. Let's talk about what this could mean for the future of ownership itself and that core relationship between a citizen and their state.
This really captures that fundamental mindset shift. On one hand, you have the taxpayer. You're kind of passive, right? You pay your money and you're pretty disconnected from the projects it funds. But on the other hand, you have the owner. Now you're an active stakeholder. You are genuinely invested, financially invested in seeing these projects succeed. Why? Because you're not just getting services anymore, you're getting dividends.
And the potential social impacts here, they're pretty profound. You could create a real sense of shared prosperity. You could promote genuine financial inclusion, bringing millions of people into the world of investing for the first time. Of course, pulling something this radical off isn't easy. You've got to build the right regulations, make sure everyone has access and understands how to participate. But if it works, when everyone is an owner, it creates this incredible incentive for good governance and transparency because everyone has skin in the game.
And that really brings us to the final big question. What we're looking at here is more than just a clever new way to finance a port or an airport. It's potentially a whole new blueprint for building a nation, one that's based on direct ownership and shared success. So if this model proves to be successful, it leaves us with a really powerful thought. If citizens all over the globe could become direct owners in their own countries, could that actually change the world?